What's going on, everybody? Gentleman94 here. Welcome back to the Hawker Harrier group build here on Ben Builds. This is episode number 11. Thank you so much for joining us. Today, guys, we're going to push forward here and try to get a little bit more done. We have a couple weeks left on this bad boy, so let's go ahead and push forward and see what we can do. Last episode, we put on the landing gears, and you can see doesn't have a lot of stability, but that's okay. We need to put the wing landing gears on first, and it should fix that right up. Otherwise, everything else is looking really, really nice. I love the color. Everything is just spot on. Now, last episode, guys, we went ahead and we airbrushed the white hubs on each of the wheels, both the front and the main gears here in the back. These are looking pretty nice. So let's go ahead and unmask all these and check and see how our masks actually held up. So we're just going to peel this apart. Yeah, look at that. That looks really nice. I like how clean that is here on the front of the wheel. Now on the back side of the wheel, it's a little less spot on, but it's decent. It'll work. Let's go ahead and check the other wheel now. The front nose wheel, let's go ahead and unmask that, check and see how that turned out. Not as good, to be honest. Not as clean, not as neat, but I think it'll pass. It'll be all right. So let's go ahead and get that toothpick, put this thing back on the toothpick. And there we are. Let's go ahead and put this together so I don't lose it. And we're going to check the other main wheel and see how that turned out. So, yeah, so far I got to say I like how these masks are working, but they're not exactly 100% perfect. All right, let's check this one out here. Yeah, this is all right. I like how that looks. So let's go ahead and put on these wheels and get this thing more or less in a rolling chassis. So, on with the show, guys. I went ahead and decided to go ahead and put on the side wing wheels as well, and that's a pretty decent fit. Everything looks great with that. We'll come back and we'll paint up the black on the tires a little bit later in the episode. So we're going to be cleaning up the canopy now, guys, because I need to go ahead and remove a seam. Now there is a seam that runs down the center of each of the pieces of the canopy, both on the front and on the back side there. We need to go ahead and eliminate that. Now I've never actually done this before, but I think I can handle it. So right here, this we have to remove. We're going to be using the premium sanding stick. This is by Squadron. This is the extra fine version. I've tried it here on the front windscreen, and to be honest, it actually works pretty well. I have a little bit of a foggy effect though, and so we're going to go ahead and dip these in future, which should really kind of restore their clarity. But otherwise, on the front windscreen, the seam is gone, non-existent, which is really, really nice. We're going to have to do the same for the moving center section. So let's go ahead and get out that sanding file, use our hobby knife, and get this thing cleaned up. This canopy, guys, this is looking perfect. I love how this looks. The seam is mostly gone, so I'm happy with that. We'll dip them in the future to restore that quality. Moving on though, let's go ahead and talk about paint. I have a couple more areas that we need to paint here on the Harrier, which is the leading edge of the wing, and also the same on the leading edge of the horizontal stabilizers and the tail. I'm thinking about using this color right here. This is a flesh color, yes, but I think it's just dark enough it should work. Then for the tail, I want to use this light blue. It's actually called pale blue. It looks pretty similar to what I want from the pictures. So first things first, we got to do some masking, guys. So let's go ahead and take our Tamiya tape and let's take our blue painter's tape and let's go ahead and cover up all the areas we don't want painted. I think there might be a lot of overspray with this, so I don't want to get all of the rest of my paint totally destroyed by hitting it with a bunch of overspray. I don't want to do that. So we're going to use our blue tape to go ahead and get the large areas covered up. And then the thin Tamiya tape is what actually gives us our demarcation line between the fuselage and the tail. Talking about the pale blue color, we're going to be using Future to go ahead and thin this. And this may be a little different than some folks, but I was doing some research on it, and it looks like Future is actually a decent thinner for Vallejo. So we're going to be using that. And I did this once before on my Enterprise. Worked perfectly, guys. Gave it a nice sturdy coat. Wasn't damaged in the slightest from masking or anything like that. And it gave it a somewhat glossy sheen to it, which is really nice. So let's go ahead and mix this up and start shooting this tail that pale blue. This blue color just looks fantastic, guys. I love it. I really like using Future as a thinner for Vallejo paint, so give it a whirl if you have an interest in that. So now let's go ahead and shift our attention over to the landing gears on the wings. I want to go ahead and put on the gear doors for the forward section of the landing gear and also for the back sides of the landing gears as well. I think that should be a decent step. Once we get all the parts and pieces on, we'll be able to come back and overcoat this with Future. So I'm going to use a little bit of extra thin Tamiya, both on the actual door itself and on the landing gear actuator. I want to make sure that everything is nicely glued. There's not a lot of meat to these, so I'm going to put glue on both sides. Press that down. That should be decent enough. A little adjustment with my fingers. Yeah, that's pretty good right there. And moving on to the main doors here on those wings, I want to go ahead and drop a little bit of the extra thin Tamiya. We're going to shift this door a little bit over, make sure this is nice and solid. We'll be doing this for both sides, 2 doors per side. Anyway, let's go ahead and move on, get those finished up, and then I want to go ahead and paint the wheels here on the landing gears themselves. So let's get on with it. Alright guys, so this is about where I'm going to call it for tonight. The Harrier is moving along. I'm loving how it's looking. Everything is really, really cool. I'm going to go ahead and touch up a little bit here on the front nose wheel. I had accidentally scraped it a bit from putting it on to the actual nose gear itself, but we are looking decent. So tune in next time, guys. We'll come on back, finish up the last little bits and pieces on this, and get this thing coated in Future. We are getting close to the end, guys. We've got just a couple more weeks, and this build will be finished. We'll see you back here next Monday here on Ben Builds. Thank you so much for watching. Until next time, keep building, take care of yourselves, and we'll see you soon.